Hey, what's up, everybody? Friday today. We have another Q&A episode. It's Tamatis from SK Drumming here, and today we have another Q&A episode that includes some news from me, some more things that you may know about me, and of course, your questions and my answers. Let's get started with the news. There are some good news, there are some bad news. Let's start with some. As already told you in the previous episode, this whole stuff is not my job. For sure, this is a community part that I want to participate, I want to share things with you, I want to communicate with you, and just help out the newcomers with stuff. More on that I will come later on. As about my job, from the company that I work, they announced me that at the end of the month I will be out, and already the outboarding process has been started. For me, it means that I need to search for new clients. As about my other job, which is information technology related, but also thought of spreading out my service capabilities as about the music. This has to deal with my new activity that I have started a few weeks ago on Fiverr and wanted to share with you. Down in the description below, you will find out the link to my first campaign, which has to deal with transcribing songs into drumming sheet. What does that mean? Scoring and in general writing down drum sheets. So if you need the sheet, feel free to come in my Fiverr gig and place an order. Also, the prices are quite reasonable and affordable for everybody who want to have a drum sheet of their favorite song. For sure, the limitations I placed in the gig are, let's say, reasonable as for the prices I am asking for, and we'll see how this will go. I would appreciate if you spread the word about it. Soon I will need an additional income in order to survive. Many plans I have for the music part, like opening up in Patreon for drumming lessons, etc. etc. Also, from your amazing questions you placed so far in the previous episode and some of you in the episode 1, I have seeds that can lead me to open up another section, probably in a couple of weeks or in a month or so, for tutorials and how-to. Also started to talk with George from Greece, the McPhee person in my subscribers, and started doing an opening about myself. So I have music studies from a local conservatory, Neo Theo, finished up the classic orchestra percussion and got the degree. At that time there was no drums only classes, and drums were part of the classical orchestra percussion classes. I have also studied harmony of classic music, and for those who did not watch episode 2, probably the link should be right up there, proposing that episode to be watched. Go and check it out. I also play the guitar for longer amount of period that I play the drums, but took that instrument not in serious, and also I can play the piano. I studied a lot while I was taking classic music harmony lessons. The piano was one of the required instruments to play. So I went, took classes, and finally got a degree. Once I'm done with the classes, for sure, I never got on a piano again, and I'm using both the guitar and the clavier for composing. Yes, I'm composing music as well for my own needs because I just had no time so far. For sure, in the future, I plan to finish up, let's say, 9 or 10 songs and share them with you through Bandcamp. Who knows? We'll see. As about what I said previously for the questions part, yes, I'm checking out my paper as I wrote in here, my printer did, to be frank, your questions, as I have to have them in here and provide answers. So, I plan to launch a tutorial series which will include many topics. That section will be guided from your questions, mostly, as it's a part of our communication. And I plan, when I do an episode of that series, to dedicate it to the person who requested that topic. For sure, there are some topics that cannot be covered in one episode because I don't want to overlengthen and be longer than 20 or 30 minutes each of these tutorials. There may be a series of episodes covering that topic. Also, that topic may include some specific drum lessons as about technique that you may ask for. I will try to grab the general idea and we'll see in the future how this will go as about going in depth. This was my news. Bad, good, you know. Let's start with your questions. First question, and I'm taking this from the time that the question was posted, was again from Brian Gribbin. Brian Gribbin, of course, you know him so far. We did a couple of Dream Theater songs as two-drummer collaboration. You can check them out in the description below. And also up there you will find the link to the latest one we did. Brian, I think we can do another one if you want to. Not a Dream Theater specific, but whatever you want to. Brian said, "Nice work, brother, and thanks for the shout out. How about this? Talk about the mix setup. How do you determine where to place them and get good sound? As some of you may not know, in the past I was running a recording studio. That was successful till crisis came in Greece, and the economical status of myself made me shut it down. And most of the equipment that I have, this let's say here tube microphone, is a remainder of that studio and most of my equipment. I also have a degree as about being sound engineer, and I have a lot of experience. And Brian, there are rule of thumbs on how to place the microphones in order to grab a signal. Initially, you start with those. Those are available in the internet. There are plenty of videos of how to mic a drum kit. For sure, there are some ideas that I can share with you in a tutorial video. This is one of the seeds for tutorials on how to mic drums, what to do, what not to do. In general, the rules, one of the greatest and the biggest rule you must follow, especially in a monstrous kit like mine, is to minimize the bleeding you get. So let's say I have here the toms, that the angle of this microphone points to the center of the drum, and I'm leveraging the polar pattern of the microphone in order to avoid catching bleeding from the snare. Of course, bleeding there will be, but I don't want the bleeding to be at the same level as the main signal, in order to cut it out through a noise gate later on in the mix. As about the overheads are various positions you can place them. I'm using the Recorderman that Jojo Mayer introduced, which catches less the extra heavy hi-hat I have on my right. That hi-hat tend to dominate the sound of all of my drum set. No matter if I mute its microphones, because I have microphones on each hi-hat separately, it still is higher than all the cymbals and the toms. That's why I'm using that technique. As about the hi-hats, of course, I use two microphones per hi-hat, one for catching up the air and one for catching up the top, the stick on the set. For the kick, I'm using two microphones, one for the body and one for the pitter. And that's the general idea. More on that I can come up, if you want to, with a tutorial series of how to mic the drums, each piece, and of course the overall miking position. Just let me know in the comments below. For sure this is a seed, and I plan to do something about it, as you asked for, and it's something that all of the videos that I saw so far, they do not cover big drum sets. They cover only 3 or 4 or 5 pieces. Okay, that's easy. You simply go buy the book and you grab a sound. Thank you, Brian, for your amazing question. Next question goes to El Baterista Rupestre, Joaquin. He is my friend as well on Facebook, and we speak a lot, and he placed an interesting question that I will go through a theoretical basis, but this is a whole series of videos for this topic, for sure. Joaquin said, so great video. It's really cool to have this interaction. Congratulations on that deal with the sticks. And now, question. Which exercises you would recommend to keep a straight double bass pattern with different patterns on hands? Joaquin, I play the double bass stuff since 1988. Okay, what really helped me was to go through a snare book in order to develop my fit and the technique. Simply whatever applies to your hands can be applied to your feet. Of course, with an extra amount of effort, because the feet, as limbs, they have not the sensitivity that our hands have. Now, as about the topic you said, double bass is pretty much a polyrhythmic stuff combined with ostinato stuff as well. Let's start with explaining what ostinato is. From the music theory part, this may make things clearer to all of you who don't have any theory background at all. The ostinato is a repeating pattern. Let's say even if you go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right for 8 notes or 16th notes or whatever, or doing a paradiddle, it's a repeating pattern. You place it on your feet, and that plays on. And then you can develop upon it your stuff. The polyrhythmic aspect that I previously mentioned is playing different rhythmic themes at the same time, more than one limb. Polyrhythmic aspects we have also in piano, as we have the left hand for the chords and the right hand for lead and melodies, but this can change. Anyway, you have two things playing at the same time, two different music themes. That's the polyrhythmic aspect. So imagine playing a straight pattern, and from the top, your hands to play triplets, where this can be found in heavy metal. One song that this can be found is Painkiller. In the bridges before the two big pauses that do the drums while the guitar introduces the next riff. It starts with quarter note triplets and builds up to sextuplets. While on the feet, Scott Travis plays 16 notes. Apologies, 8 notes. Okay, this is not an easy topic to cover with just one answer. For sure, you need to start with your feet playing a straight pattern, no matter if it's double strokes or if it's single strokes or if you go through a paradiddle. It's up to you on that. For now, I plan to launch, this is another seed for How To series, and also for a whole double bass series drum lessons. We'll see them in the future. So you go up with a double bass and initially start to play quarters, let's say, one with the left, one with the right, and try not to flam with your feet. The most important part to gain confidence is to have to not flam with your feet, or to flam on a purpose in a very advanced topic. Flamming between a hand and a foot, it's one of the most difficult aspects. Once you are confident with quarters, then you can go on 8th notes, 16 notes, triplets. It's quite different and quite difficult to understand how to play 3 on 2 or 2 on 3 or 6 on 4. I won't go in a crazy situation, let's say 5 over 7 or 7 over 3 or 7 over 4, etc., etc. Try to think that way. And I plan one of the first episodes to be on this topic you asked me for. And we have our friend here, Stamatis Tsolelis. If you don't know him, he's one of my very first subscribers, and for sure he is following me on every release I do. Stamati, thank you so much. Ευχαριστώ ρε μαλάκα. Yeah, this was a Greek. He wrote his question to Greek language, and I will translate to you in English, and I will provide answers. He said that George from the Arstic company has pretty much everything. Yeah, he can cover up any needs somebody will need. I want to remind you, for sure, if anybody need more information, there is in the description below the direct link to my page on his site. Feel free to contact him, no matter if you are not located in Greece. Those are Greek sticks, but he can cover worldwide if needed, and at a very reasonable price. Just tell him that Stamatis from SK Drumming sent you. Also, he tell me, hello my friend, even late, but seeing the part 2 I remember it. Personally, I will wanted to have this episode covered in Greek with English subtitles, so that this won't be annoying to the Greek audience. Well, that part, Stamati, I think I already answered on the comments. My target is worldwide, and it will be annoying for them on reading the subtitles rather than the Greeks to read the titles on their own. I think most of the Greek drummers are fluent in English, at least to understand what I'm telling. And for sure they can understand also what I'm telling if they turn on the closed captions in the video as well. YouTube provides automatic subtitles if needed. So apologies, but the future episodes will be in English, and also in English will be the tutorials and the episodes I plan to do. And also he asks, as about the question for the, he posted as about the part 2, he asks me about my logic of how I place things on my drum set, as about my personal aspect. When I have many cymbals and the logic to have 3 or more stack instead of bigger china who can bring up different sound colors. Well, pretty much as you see in my videos, all of my drums are speaking to me. What do I mean by that? When I play something on a drum, something like that, my hands are in a natural position for the drum to reflect back the stick. This is what I call the drum speaks to me. Okay, and that angle, it helps me to leverage the drum's rebound and not use my muscles. Why doing that? First of all, the great technique requires no muscles at all. The muscles are to support the hand and to move the hand, and also to control the stick, not leverage those muscles to hit the drum. That is part of high technique. That is part also of having accuracy on time, because if the drum will not bounce back the stick, you have to pull it back. When you have to pull that stick back, you lose time. If you go on high speeds, this means time loss. Also, muscles get tired. So if you plan to have 1 hour practice session, in the first 40 minutes, you will see that you feel tired. You need to have a 10-minute break before getting back. By playing with that natural way and let the gravity work for you, you will solve many problems of that. Let's say about the cymbals. The cymbals are following pretty much the same principle that I have on my drums. They also speak to me, and the angles that they have is that I need to reach them at specific points of the cymbal from a specific angles. So imagine by watching my video, imagine the motion I already sent you. You can watch up any video you want. You will see pretty much the same aspect, and you will see that the same technique, like playing on the drum, can be applied on the cymbals as well, and leverage bounce back from the cymbal. So no muscles required to play on there too. Of course, you will have to leverage the muscles here in order to move the hand, because one cymbal may be here, one cymbal may be there. You have to reach it. But if you maintain that angle and you don't strain your hand, that's pretty much what is needed from me. That aspect also uses it Mike Mancini. Yes, Mike Mancini is a monster. But if you see the angle in here, you will see that when he reaches the cymbals, that many of them are above his head, which is quite unorthodox. That angle is maintained, and only on some hard choke cases he strains up the hand just to show that, wow, what am I doing here to the crowd. But most of the times that he's playing on the camera at his own home, by demonstrating something, he never strains his hands. He uses that angle. And that angle was teaching about my students when I was teaching in a conservatory long time ago. That is the most important thing to keep, as about their drumming placements. No matter about the angles they use, but the angles that I suggest to use, and I'm using at 100%, is the natural bounce back for that drum position. Of course, there are many cymbals in my setup. Let's say 14, 15, or maybe some more. I have an overlay of them so that I can reach anything at any time without messing up with others. It's important that during the trajectory of the stick, not to stumble on other cymbal. Now, your next question was about having small stacks instead of larger chinas. Well, I have one china which is 18-inch, and another one behind me which is a 12-inch china splash. Why do I need stacks instead of chinas? Well, let's say if I had the space to have one 20-inch china, one 16 and one 14, for sure I would have them, and also to afford them, because I don't have any endorsement for the cymbals I have. All of them have been paid by me, so they are quite expensive. I'm just trying to answer the question, but china sounds differently from a stack. What's the difference between a stack and a single cymbal? The stack has a short decay, does a whoosh and stops, and the china has a decay, as pretty much any single cymbal. There are cases that I need short sound, more trashy like a china, I might say. For those, I have 3 of them. Not sure, probably may add one more just to make it symmetrical. I started with a Portnoy approach, having 3 of them, high, mid and low, but it seems that I need one on my left side as well. We'll see in the future about it. So also this may answer any of your questions may have why I do have so much that amount of cymbals. Because of their unique sound. Sometimes I need a short crash, sometimes I need a long crash, sometimes I need even shorter, but crash-wise sound which a splash can give me, a large splash can give me. Sometimes I need very short, and that is for the stacks. For sure I need bells, and a couple more of hi-hats. I have one on my left, one on my right, operated both with my left foot. The next 2 additions, once I have the financial deposit for that, will be another 2 operated with my right hand, with my right foot. I'm closing that parenthesis and getting on the last question that he asked me is about why having in such a big setup 1 kick instead of 2. Well, the existence of second kick, it's one good topic, because for sure you don't need any extra setup or extra parts on a double pedal to make your left foot equal to the right. But also, if you place the costs of the second kick and a couple of microphones you will need for mic that up to, and additional hardware parts you will need to place the hi-hat as close to the snare as it's now, it's cheaper the double pedal. That's one reason. Another reason is that even if I have a double kick and place as close as possible the hi-hat, it's still way too far for me, for my needs. I thought of it before getting the Iron Cobra, which is part of the deal I did with Tama, and that cost me almost nothing, except for the shaft, that it's a direct ACD one, and with that shaft I make both pedals operate equally. And one third reason I can provide in here is because having another kick means two microphones and another two channels. I already occupy 27 channels in the mixing desk, which means another two. Makes that sense? I hope I answered your questions. With this and that, my friends, we reached up to the end of this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for your questions you placed so far. I'm waiting for new ones in the comments below. For sure I have seeds for the how to end tutorial section I plan to launch. And thank you for that, as this is a knowledge exchange part and helping people, and for that I feel happy, because I do love to help people out. So this episode reached up to its end. See you next Friday with your new questions, with my news probably we'll have at that time. And don't be shy, post your questions. For sure you may have something to ask. I'm here to answer. If it happens to land on this video for the first time, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get informed when a new video will be released. Hit the like button if you liked it, and also be my guest and navigate through the rest of my videos as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you next Friday. Bye everybody!